Welcome to Shameless. Here we explore the transformative power of courage and action.
And so what tools, and so I'm going to actually consider that one of your greatest fears is success, and that results in self-sabotaging. So what would you say are one of the biggest tools that you're currently using in order to be able to help you overcome this fear, in order for you to be able to step into the greatness that actually awaits for you? What would you say are some of the greatest tools available for you?
Okay, so a lot of the times I'm going to dial back to two things, mainly, three things to be honest. The first one being my immediate network, family, my friends, my parents, my siblings, and the conversations I do have with them, and even my partner, and how they motivate, how they believe in me, and how I don't want to disappoint them. Then the second one is my why. My why am I doing this? I'm trying to do this, and I think it was ordained. And this is where it goes to the third one, which is God. But the second one, I think it was ordained, where I say, my why is help those who cannot help themselves. And I owe it up to myself to be able to do that. Because God gave me this gift and this ability to be able to process, understand, and implement in a certain way that is effective, valued, and paid for, that a lot more people struggle to get to this stage as quick and as easy as I did in the eyes of society. So why not double down on that so that I can do what I was called to do, which is help those who cannot help themselves. So that why, with my immediate network, and the fact that the third one being God has basically told me to do this, allows me to now get out of this space more often. Like as of recent, I've really been heading face down. Like January has been my most profitable month since 2 years.
I find it very interesting when you talk about network and your why. And the reason why I think that is important, especially the network part. When you're surrounded by like-minded individuals, people who are thriving and aspiring to be where you are, that journey of when you are down becomes a lot easier for you to be picked back up from. And further than that, you find a purpose within the networks that you're surrounded by. And sometimes the solution doesn't have to come from within. Solutions are solutions as long as they solve the problem, regardless of where they've come from. And so I think that when having people around you, your network is some of the biggest and strongest aspects to it. And I'll give you a different example from my end. I've always had, I don't think necessarily I communicate well. And so in doing that, sometimes I can process something, but I'll process it by myself. And then I'll make a decision by myself. And then the decision, once read back to me or once we discuss it, is actually very far from an ideal solution, because I actually didn't leverage my network. I wasn't expressive and I didn't share my thoughts with different people. And I typically find that our ability to leverage our network, that is from a support basis and more than anything, is some of the largest benefits that we could actually do to the journey of growing our mind. And I've found that to be one of the most interesting parts of my growth and journey within the transformational leadership space. And so that's why I found the idea when you said network is such a powerful thing. And then obviously why. If somebody understands their reason why, they'll find the means to do it. And I think that's probably one of the most powerful aspects for me. And so I resonate so well with those two. But Tavi, we're going to be wrapping this up now. And I have a question, like your favorite piece of advice or the best quote that you've ever heard. What would you put there as your top 5, or your one? Actually, I'm only asking for one. What would that one quote or piece of advice that you'd like to actually leave the listeners with?
That's a very tough one, right? I'd have liked to give them more than just one, but I will see what I can do. What about a philosophical perspective on life? Maybe that might be better than a coach. how they could maybe.
Oof.
Yeah. So I know probably people think I'm a philosopher in my pastime. I'm not, I swear. I'm kidding. I never said anything that's super, super profound. However, what I do think is the meaning of life. A lot of the times, I went on a trip in Ghana recently, and somebody asked me what the meaning of life was. And when I did answer it, obviously, again, I believe it came from God. The way they understood it was exactly how I intended it to be understood, but others didn't necessarily understand it. So for those who are listening, I hope you fall on the former, not the latter. The meaning of life is you, by living, are answering that question, because life itself is asking you that question. Life is asked DK and Tabi, what is the meaning of life? And our response to that is the answer by how we live and what we do and when we do it. This is the lazy days you've had, the fun times, the sad, the procrastinations, the successes, the failures, the ups and the downs, collectively, is one answer to life. And every human being that has ever lived in their finite string of life collectively becomes the full answer to the meaning of life. So your life, my life, and everyone else who's listening's life collectively is answering the question, what's the meaning of life? And because of that, it is up to you to decide how you want to answer that question for yourself in what you do on a day-to-day. Stay transformational. Stay being a leader.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share as we embark on our mission to impact 1 million African lives by 2026.
This podcast is brought to you by Transformation Leader. You can follow us at www.t4leader.com.